All right, it is time for more TV musings. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm super excited to be here today and to share with you this video. This is going to be my sort of like everything else TV video, or TV, yeah, video about TV vlog about TV. So this is going to be about shows that have either been canceled, I caught up, but not caught up to everything. And I think there's one that's just a bit of an odd situation. It's just sort of like the everything else edition. But we're going to start off with a couple shows that have been canceled. First up, we have 4400, not to be confused with The 4400, or this is actually a redux of The 4400, which I can't remember when it came out, if it was late 90s, early 2010s. I don't know. It's a similar premise though. So this was a show that was on the CW, and it followed a bunch of people, or actually not a bunch of people, 4,400 people who disappeared and then reappeared. So it's a sort of dual timeline in a way, but like multiple dual timelines, because the people that appear in our present are from different points in the past. Now, I didn't watch the original The 4400, or I only saw the premiere, so I don't know how close or far it is from that storyline. But in this one, the protagonist is, like I would say, the protagonist in this one is actually a lawyer, and so that's interesting because of sort of where the show takes it. This very much felt like a show that was talking about social commentary, and how people are treated, and human rights and legalese and that kind of thing. It was very clear very soon that those were the issues surrounding the show. And so I don't know if that's what the original one was like. I think it was my idea coming into this one that it was going to be more about a mystery of like how and why did they come from there into now. But it's a bit more of a portrait as to people at different times and rights and social social commentary of different points in time to different groups of people, and human rights and those kinds of things. There is also a science fiction element to it, as the people who come back, generally all of them, some of them, I can't remember, have powers. And then if it's, how does that impact their rights? Do people want to let people know that they have powers? Do they not want to let people know they have powers? So it was very, very steeped in social commentary and human rights, but also in essence, it was also a science fiction show. Often science fiction is social commentary. I just did not know that that's the route that this one was going. Unfortunately, this is one where I actually missed a fair amount of the episodes. It's on the CW, as I mentioned in other videos. I watch over the air via antenna. I'm in Canada, and I don't always get the channel clearly. So I definitely missed a few in the middle, and I missed the finale. So I have no idea how it ended. But I was really invested in the characters, and there was a lot of characters that I wanted to hear their stories and see where they were going, even though this ended up being something very different than I thought coming in. I thought it was going to be science fiction mystery, ended up very much being social commentary. By the time I figured it out, I was invested and wanted to know more. So let me know, did you watch 4400? What were your thoughts on it? Would love to hear what you thought. So that's, I was a little surprised that it got canceled, but after one season, so I hope it shows up streaming somewhere so I can get the missing links. That would be great. Another show that was unfortunately canceled was Batwoman. So most recently what aired was season 3 of Batwoman. I jumped in season 2, which actually is not a bad spot because the protagonist, the lead actor, changes from season 1 to season 2, although it sounds like not for good reasons, for the little that I've heard about season 1, in terms of I don't know, I haven't looked into it too much. It's just sort of the Twitterverse version of things. But anyway, so I didn't mean to go there, but I didn't research, and I try not to speak to things that I haven't researched. So yeah. So if you know more information about what happened in Batwoman season 1, I would love to hear, but I'm not an expert. In terms of Batwoman season 3, I actually quite enjoyed the show. I really like the cast of this, and I really enjoyed the stories, and I love having a superhero show that has a female lead. I really, really do. And this is quite a diverse show, both with the cast in terms of there's a lot of women of color in the show, and there's a fair amount of LGBTQIA plus representation, which is awesome, and lots of action and chaos. And I really thought I'm really surprised that it didn't get renewed. I wonder if they went with Tom Swift instead, which is another superhero LGBT, but it has a male black lead. And I think they are the same time slot. So I wonder if they went with Tom Swift instead. I watched a couple episodes of that. I thought it was okay, but it's very much reminds me of Kung Fu, and that there's, usually a situation or a mystery or something that they have to get information on or help someone, and then sort of, set in the current day, with a little far-fetching science stuff. But yeah, it reminded me a lot of Kung Fu, and I like Kung Fu. But what I liked about Batwoman is that, and I think it's based on a comic, don't quote me on that, but what I liked about Batwoman is it very much is a superhero world. There are superheroes, there's people in costumes, there are people who have powers, and there's people that don't, and there's people that use technology, and I really liked the show a lot, and I really like the relationships and the characters. I am sad that it didn't get renewed. I didn't get to see all of season 3. Some of it, again, from the antenna, was a bit spotty, but I really did enjoy what I saw. So I'm sad that it hasn't been renewed. Let me know. Did you watch Batwoman season 3? Did you watch Tom Swift? Let me know. Also on the CW, which didn't get renewed, and I will have to say, I am actually quite surprised about this one, is Naomi. I really, really loved Naomi. This was a series premiere, I think this year, I think 2021. I think it was sort of a half-season show, and it is a bit younger. It's the Naomi is in high school, so it's a bit younger skewing in terms of the characters that it focuses on. It's definitely science fiction. It was based on comic or graphic novel. I read one, I think it was just a set of 4 or 5, a bind up of 5, so that I guess would be comics. This one is really hard to say too much about without spoiling it. Superman is a character. Superman is someone that the protagonist, Naomi, is really curious about and interested in, and he has made appearances in their world. So it is a sort of world where it is a bit extra in terms of, people are aware of Superman. Now, it's not a huge part of it. It's just sort of the lead in. But then, as time goes on, Naomi starts to realize that she may have a connection, and there may be more abilities, people, science fiction type things in the world that she is in. I actually really enjoyed this one. I really liked her friend group. I thought there was a really great mentor dynamic with Naomi, and I can't remember the character's name. I'm just trying to see if there's a picture. No, that's a better woman. That's a better one of Batwoman. It's a better. Sometimes the first pick doesn't end up being the best pick. Anyway, but I quite enjoyed it. As I said, I'm very surprised and sad that it didn't get renewed. I thought it had a great sort of, it had really interesting science fiction elements that almost verged on magic. That was really cool, and just sort of an interesting, I thought it had a lot of interesting ways of telling different stories, and, backstories for characters and surprises and all that kind of stuff. And I really liked, as I said, that both the friend group, and I really thought it pushed the idea of expectations in terms of learning more before you judge kind of situations, and I just all around thought it was great. So very sad to see it go. Let me know, have you watched it? I think I did miss a few on this one, so again, I would love for this to show up on Netflix or anywhere so I can see the remaining episodes, or just watch it from start to finish. I would watch it from start to finish again. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. And then I also watched, and I've talked about this one before, Woo Assassins. This is a show that I watched because the protagonist, who is Iko Weiss, Owais, I'm still trying to figure out how to pronounce his name. He is an actor that I'm watching all of the works that he's in. He's an Indonesian actor and martial artist that I saw in The Raid when it premiered at TIFF, and I've been watching the works that he's in. And so he's in a Netflix original film called Fistful of Vengeance, and this show, Wu Assassins, actually leads into Fistful of Vengeance. So this is one where I feel like probably what happened, and don't quote me on this, is that it didn't get renewed, but they did create the movie, and the movie sort of completes the story or continues the story. That's my feeling about this. So this one's more of like an urban fantasy. So it's set in the current day world, San Francisco, if I remember correctly, but there are elements of mystic magic, a magical, what is that called? Not devices, but objects. There's a bit of a lore with a prophecy type situation. And the protagonist, he ends up being someone who can, someone comes to him to try and make sure that the magic doesn't fall into the hands of people who will, use it for themselves or abuse it or those kinds of things. So it's not like, we've heard this story before, but I love this story, so I'm going to watch it anytime that I can see it. I quite enjoyed the martial arts in this one and the action in this one. I really enjoyed the friend group. This one makes it look a little more antagonistic-y, but he has quite... Oh, they're not all on here. That's probably why. Yeah, they're not all on here. But he has a sort of core friend group that he grew up with, and I really liked the dynamic of that group. Catherine Winnick is also in this. She comes in it as someone who goes undercover to find out about the situation and what's going on. But it is also just, fair warning, this is a Netflix original, and I don't remember what the rating is, and probably MA, TV MA, because it is quite violent. It can be quite violent and quite bloody, so just fair warning with that. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I really like the characters, and I'm really happy that I saw it. But it is a bit of an oddity in terms of that it ended up going into a film. I didn't enjoy the film as much as the series by far. I like the series a lot more. And I'm sad that it doesn't look like there'll be more. I'll double check on that, but it kind of feels like that because the movie felt like a spinoff. I am really glad I watched the series ahead of watching the film, because the film, it does. I don't know if it quite leaves enough breadcrumbs for you to understand the full complexity of the show, how could it? It's a 10-episode show. But Wu Assassins was a lot of fun, and I was going to say looking forward to see more, but I'm not. I would actually just have to look forward to watching it again. So we'll see how that goes. But I have a lot of TV shows that I'm like only halfway through, so I think those need to take priority. Okay, on to the oddities. This one I've talked about a fair amount, so I'm not going to talk about tons here, but I did finally finish watching season 1 of Outlander, and I'm only planning on watching season 1 because with book to TV adaptations, my approach is to watch the TV season, and then go back and read the book. So I've now completed Outlander, which is a historical romance, science fiction, time travel situation. I think most people know what Outlander is, following a woman who travels back in time to the Scottish Highlands, and there's romance, there's intrigue, there's lots of action. I found, for me, I mentioned this, I talked about it a fair amount in one of my currently reading challenge wrap-ups, which I'll link up above, but just briefly, my big challenge with this one was the strong and persistent presence of either sexual violence or the potential of sexual violence. It is present in, I think, every single episode, and it plays a strong role in a lot of I was going to give a spoiler. So anyway, it was intense and persistent, and that made it hard for me to enjoy the series, and also makes me continually surprised at how often people talk about mostly the books, as romance, because usually those two things don't go hand in hand. So anyway, I don't know if I'll end up or when I'll end up reading the book. My general, like this year, 2022, I've been sort of limiting my book reading to titles that are 300 pages or less, and Outlander is 800 pages. So I did start it many years ago, and I do own it, but and it is on like, so I would hit so many reading goals if I read it, because it's on like so many different of my lists. But I don't have near future plans on reading it. I've heard the audiobook is really good, but I don't listen to fiction on audio generally, so I don't know. Anyway, I did finish it, so I'm including it here. And then last up, this one makes me so sad. So I started, and so many times I try and watch or catch up or rewatch a series in anticipation for the next season. And this one, I actually made it to the series premiere, the next season premiere, not series premiere, but the next season premiere. And that is Roswell, New Mexico. This is a science fiction romance series that's on the CW. It's a redux of the show that was on like 1999 to 2002-ish, called Roswell, which was also set in Roswell, and it follows a similar story. I actually think it does a pretty creative, interesting choice in terms of having some callbacks to the late 90s, early 2000s, but anyway, but yeah, so I rewatched season 1 and finished up to season 3 in anticipation for season 4, which came out earlier this summer, and I have not been able to stay up to date with season 4. I am so sad. During the premiere, my antenna just would not come in very clearly unless I like held it like up towards the window, and I couldn't stand like that for an hour. So I did buy the show. I do have it on Google Play, but I just have not been able to stay up to date. It makes me so sad. And season 4 is the final season, so there will be no more. I really hope they knew that going into it. I'm not sure if they did. I do feel like it makes a bit of a difference, even just in terms of whether there's closure or a cliffhanger. I have really enjoyed the show. I really like the cast. I did confuse me though, because this guy, you can't really see him too much, but the guy who plays Max was on the originals as Jackson, and it took me a while to figure that out. And I'm just like, and there's also Tyler from Vampire Diaries plays. It's not Kyle. I know I can describe his character, but I don't know if it would be a spoiler. He plays on this show, he plays a doctor. Anyway, so there's a bit of CW, like, actors that are from different shows that I know from different shows in this one, which was a bit, like, strange, but also fine. I ended up really enjoying season 1 through 3. I think season 1 still is my favorite, but I thought it's doing something interesting with season 4. I have seen the first 2 episodes, but I haven't been caught up, and it makes me so sad. I should prioritize it and try and finish it before the fall 2022 shows start, because once that happens, I imagine I'll be watching those shows. So anyway, Roswell, New Mexico, have you watched it? Do you enjoy it? Do you get stuck like me, catching up with a show and then not being able to stick with when it comes back live? I have had that happen to me so many times. I actually now barely even attempt to do it, and it happened. It's not, this is the second time it's happened with Roswell. I tried last year trying to get up to date with season 1 and 2 for the season 3 release, and then I did, and then I fell off habit of being able to keep up with it. It just makes me so mad, especially with the show that I really enjoy. I really like the show. It's a great show. I just, and it is science fiction-y romance, lots of shenanigans, and usually it's got usually a one big plot, antagonist type situation. It's kind of like the Buffy formula in that sense, and I'm fine with that. Like, I've watched tons of shows like that. I like that, so yeah. Anyway, let me know, have you seen it? Does that happen to you? Do you get caught up and then forget, or just for some reason not be able to stay caught up? It happens to me all that time. Anyway, this was my everything else set. I hope you enjoyed that. I have been having a lot of fun doing videos about TV, and hopefully there will be more to come. Thank you so much for watching.